I ended my friendship with Mary, who was like a sister to me. With her departure from university, I began to realize how toxic our relationship was. When I met Dave, and he proposed to me, Mary's reaction surprised me. She humiliated my moment of happiness and even tried to convince me to break up with him. Now all our mutual friends and even my mother think that I'm too harsh. I'm starting to doubt whether I was right to break such a long friendship. Hello everyone. A few weeks ago, I to 1F completely stopped communicating with one of my closest childhood friends, Mary to 1F. Although I feel relieved that she disappeared from my life, most of my family members and mutual friends believe that I reacted too sharply, and now I begin to doubt my decision. A little background: Mary and I grew up almost like sisters. We were neighbors, and our parents started to arrange joint meetings for us even before we learned to walk. From kindergarten to high school, we did everything together. If I wasn't at her place, she was at my place. I trusted her completely and never thought of her other than as my best friend. Everything changed when Mary went to university. At first I missed her, but over time I noticed how much easier it became for me to live without her constant presence. I was no longer criticized, tortured with guilt, and forced to justify my choice. It became clear how much she controlled me. Mary dominated all areas of my life. She rejected my hobbies and forced me to quit them. And if she didn't like one of my friends, I had to stop talking to him. You can call me a nihilist, but when you grow up with such a person, it's hard to see that you are being manipulated. Everything went into place when I met my current fiancé Dave to 7M. He's amazing, kind, sympathetic, and the one I ever wanted to see as a partner. We instantly found a common language, and to be honest, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But of course, Mary didn't approve of it. She immediately tried to sow the seeds of doubt, saying that he was too old, that he would cheat on me, or that he was just using me. Fortunately, for once I didn't listen to her, and I'm very happy about it. In December, Dave surprised me with a dream vacation, and during the trip he proposed to me. Everything was perfect. He planned every little thing, and it was more magical than I could have imagined. I was in seventh heaven with happiness and couldn't wait to share the news with everyone. Naturally, I told Mary about it, expecting at least some joy, but instead she underestimated the meaning of everything that was happening. She picked on the proposal, said how she would do it differently and what could be done better. It hurt me, but I brushed her off and reminded her that it was my proposal, not hers. A few weeks later, we met in person for the first time in a few months. And then everything finally fell apart. Out of no time, Mary told me that I should break up with Dave. When I asked why, her arguments had nothing to do with me. Instead, she compared him to her boyfriend, Julian, to 2M, saying something like, "Dave earns more money than Julian and Dave can give you everything, and I have to work to get what I want." It was clear that she didn't worry about me, she was just jealous. She couldn't accept the fact that at least once my life seemed better than hers. It was a turning point for me. I asked her to leave my house, and then I sent her a long message explaining how offended and disappointed I was. I told her that her behavior was unacceptable and that I didn't want her to contact me again. Since then, she seems to have told everyone in our social circle about it. Mutual friends and even some family members said that I was too harsh and should have behaved differently. They said, "It's just Mary, you've known her all your life. She was always the center of attention and got what she wanted." Some even accused me of breaking her heart and said that it was wrong to prefer the groom to a friend of a lifetime. Even my mother said that she expected the best from me, and that's what makes me doubt my decision. Did I really react too sharply? Mary has been a huge part of my life for as long as I can remember. Of course, it has its shortcomings, but we have also shared countless good times and memories. Did I really throw away years of friendship because of this? Should I try to fix everything, or was it the right decision to cut off communication with her? Ed, some people in the comments claim that this story is a fake. Unfortunately, it's not. Of course, I can't prove it to you, but honestly, what's the point of coming up with a story and posting it on Reddit? I've never used Reddit before and I have no idea what karma is and why someone needs it. Also, yes, I edited my text with the help of AI mainly because I was incredibly angry when I wrote it. And English is not my native language. Connect all these things, and you can probably imagine that my original text would be incoherent and unreadable. For clarity, I don't know what exactly Mary told my friends and relatives because most of the messages I received were quite vague. I also didn't ask my mom about what happened, according to Mary. I was too angry to talk to her calmly after my mother told me that I was dramatizing, as a result of which I yelled at her. I only know that Mary admitted that she asked me to break up with her fiancé, but I don't know if she explained why she wanted it. And finally, my parents raised Mary as their second daughter, and she was always incredibly kind in their presence. Maybe that's why they didn't believe me. Maybe they just deny everything because it's easier for them. I don't know. But I understand when you hear something bad about a person you like for the first time, you don't want to believe it. To be honest, I didn't expect so many people to read my post and react to it so positively. Since some people asked me to tell you about the updates, which I didn't expect either, I'll tell you what happened today. In addition, I warn you right away that, most likely, there will be a lot of things here, since a lot has happened and I am writing this mainly in order to understand myself what to do. But first of all, I want to thank everyone who was so kind and shared their stories. To be honest, it was incredibly nice to see how many people went through the same thing as me and continue to pass. And to hear that stopping communication with toxic friends was the right choice made me even more sure of my own decision. All those who called my post fake, created by artificial intelligence, or the development of karma, whatever that means, I'm sorry to disappoint, but unfortunately, this is not the case. This is what is happening at the moment, and I needed to speak out. I'm glad you've never had to go through something like this. But judging by the comments, my story is not as unusual, unique as I thought, and not as far-fetched as some of you can decide. In people's lives, there are often toxic and narcissistic friends, especially if others support their behavior from an early age, as in the case of Mary. This time I won't ask AI to correct my grammatical and spelling mistakes, so fasten up. You'll see some funny sentences. Also, if anyone knows good sites that can correct whole sentences, not only autocorrection, but also grammar and so on, please tell me which ones exist. I'm dealing with technologies that I've never used before. It's absolute shit. Because I'm learning law, not something related to IT. LOL initially. I didn't want to talk to justify my relationship. It's just not what my post is directly about, or the problem I'm facing now, but I still decided to touch on it. Why? I don't know, but in the comments there were several people who called my fiancé a pedophile, a rapist, said that he was scolding me, and so on. Most of these comments seem to have come from a sense of care for which I am grateful to them, but some do not. So yes, maybe that's why I decided to explain some things. I wasn't bombarded with love, nothing like that. My fiancé is an amazing guy who did not force me to do anything and did not rush to get married, as it was in some comments. I'm marrying him because he's the one I want to spend my future with. Of course, we could wait a few more years with engagement, marriage in the end. But what's the point of waiting when I and he too obviously is sure that he is the person I need? Getting married at a young age, I'll be 23. When we officially get married, by the way, is not for everyone, but it's also not uncommon. With some people, you just feel that everything will turn out great. And when it comes to him, I have that feeling. Some people also suggested that my parents sided with Mary because they don't like Dave. It's very far from the truth. They love him very much and consider him a member of the family after a few months of our acquaintance. I would be very grateful if people who are going to comment exclusively on my relationship would refrain from this. This is not what this post is about. I firmly decided to be with him. You can think anything about my relationship, but in the end, you don't know us or our lives. And now let's move on to the actual news. Today we visited my parents around noon, talked about everything, and tried to understand what exactly happened. It turned out that Mary really told a fictional story, adding some truth to it. Apparently, she told people, or at least my parents, that Dave cheated on me with his colleague. That's why she advised me to break up with him. She said that this romance has been going on for at least 4 months and that she knows about it because she saw them together in a cafe in another city a few months ago. Suppose it's true. But why didn't she tell me or my parents earlier? For example, imagine that the boyfriend of your best friend at that time is cheating on her, and you know about it. Wouldn't you tell her right away? So I also can't understand why my parents, especially my mother, believed her. According to her story, I was incredibly angry, kicked her out, and haven't talked to her since then. Something of this is true, as you should know from my original post. For example, the fact that she told me to break up with my fiancé, as well as the fact that I kicked her out and cut off communication. However, I heard the story that Dave cheated on me today for the first time, plus it's completely made up. Let me remind you that she told me to break up with him because Dave is a better guy than Julian, her boyfriend, by the way. I feel very sorry for him too. I can't imagine how much she puts pressure on him. My mother said she didn't believe that Dave cheated on me, but she was disappointed with the way I coped with the situation, especially because I couldn't know that Mary was telling a lie. She believed that it was too cruel to cross out my best friend for being worried about me and that we should discuss everything. I also assumed that she was afraid of losing her long-standing friendship when I severed ties with Mary, which also turned out to be true. Mary told her mother about what happened, who, as it happens, is my mother's best friend. And according to my father, Mary's mother is angry with me for mistreating her daughter and accuses my mother of raising me wrong. So that too. After Mom explained to her what Mary said, I told her what really happened. Jealousy, manipulation, lies, all this in general, what I told in my original post, and much more. At first she didn't believe me and said that I was blowing an elephant out of a fly, that Mary had good intentions, but she just didn't know how to convey them correctly. I showed her part of our correspondence with Mary, told her about past incidents, and my fiancé tried to support me as much as he could, because my mother did not listen at all and continued to protect Mary. To say that I dug deep and told my parents about everything is to downplay. I even got to the point where I told them about a sexual incident. So yes, I didn't miss a single detail. My father believed me from the very beginning, but my mother kept repeating what a wonderful girl Mary is and how she wants only the best for me. She also kept saying that I had never had problems with Mary in the past. That's not true. And that now I'm creating an unnecessary drama because of misunderstanding. Maybe I'm creating an unnecessary drama, or maybe not. But in my opinion, it is necessary. I allowed her to do whatever she wanted for too long. At some point, my father just told my mother to shut up and stop justifying Mary. So at least one of my parents is on my side. My father has always been a very non-conflict person and never defended his point of view, especially when it came to my mother. But I found out that he always believed that Mary had a bad effect on me as a child. Obviously, he also told my mother that he wanted to limit our contacts with Mary when we were younger. But my mother did not accept his opinion and allowed our friendship to continue. So, in fact, all this problem could have been avoided if my mother had put her friendship with Mary's mother aside for the sake of her own family. Great! In the end, Mom said she would talk to Mary and ask her if what I said was true, and it honestly pissed me off. After everything I told her, she still reaches out to Mary because, apparently, what her real daughter says is not good enough. She tried to justify it by the fact that Mary is also her daughter and it's unfair to listen only to my version of the story. Okay. But you already had a heart-to-heart conversation with Mary, in which she lied from start to finish. After she said all this, I started screaming. I know it's unhealthy, but I was damn pleased to just let it all out. To say that I cried a lot from disappointment after talking to my mother is to be understated. And I'm so glad that my fiancé was with me because I definitely wouldn't be able to get home safely. But speaking of the good, I got ice cream, and we watched my favorite TV series when we got back. I haven't told my mom yet that I'm not going to invite her to my wedding. We still don't plan to get married until next year, so she still has enough time to decide who to believe, and I don't want to create too big a gap between me and her now. As for the mutual friends who sided with Mary, I decided not to answer them. I'm not sure that Mary told them the same story as my parents, but to be honest, I don't care. I don't want to see Mary ever again, at least in the foreseeable future, and mutual friends will make it much more difficult than it's worth it. Besides, they are not my only friends or close friends. Dave also doesn't mind me not running after them to clear his name if this whole situation goes beyond the group of friends and becomes public. I'll contact them. But now we don't see the point of dealing with Mary's henchmen. That's how someone called these friends in the comments under my original post. I liked it. Now I just hope that Mary will appear somewhere in her story and my mother will see her as she really is. Although she behaves completely disgustingly towards me and, in fact, chooses Mary, not me in this situation, I think I can step over it. After all, it's my mom. It's one thing to exclude friends from your life, but to cut off close relatives, it's a completely different story, and I'll try to fix the situation as well as possible. If she is faithful to Mary, I don't know what to do, but that's not what I should think about right now. Thank you again for your positive and useful comments. I read them all, but they came with great speed, and I didn't know how to react to most of them. In addition, to those who went through something like this, I am very sorry that this happened to you. And I am incredibly glad that, judging by the comments, all of you were able to find peace in your decision to erase toxic friends from your life. January 15th, 2 days after the first update, I want to say in advance, I don't know if my father told the whole truth. I believe him, but he could have exaggerated or missed something. It's quite possible that he lied to some extent. Personally, I don't think so, but again, I heard most of the things he told me yesterday for the first time, and it all looks damn true. Or maybe he was lying? I don't know. This whole situation just makes me doubt who I can trust. So yesterday we had dinner with my father, and in general everything went pretty well. We mostly talked about my mom and Mary. Apparently, my mother was always worried about what others thought of her, but when she met Mary's mother, it reached a new level. Mom Mary often criticized my mother for a variety of things, her parenting style, her clothes, her house, and for nothing. If Mom could change something, she immediately changed it to please Mom Mary. That's why I was sent to dance classes when I was younger, because Mary's mother enrolled Mary in dancing, one of many examples. So yes, as expected in most of the comments, Mary's mother is talking to her. Is she a narcissist? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. Only one thing can be said about Mary's family. They work damn well to seem perfect. Happy family, good job, beautiful house, etc. I think my mom bought into their image and tried to copy it. I'm not going to criticize the whole family, but let's just say that they have as many shortcomings as any other family. Besides, my mother clearly told my father nasty things about me. She compared me to Mary in almost all respects and even said several times that she would like Mary to be her real daughter. She also believes that I deprived her of the chance to live the life of her dreams. Funny fact, but according to my father, my mother loves the family very much. She always wanted to have at least 4 children. Ironically, I know. She had a rather traumatic experience of giving birth with me, and the doctors told her that she shouldn't try to have children anymore. Yes, obviously she blames me for that. She hoped that through me she would be able to make her dream come true, mainly so that I would have many children. I'm overloading you with information a little, but I've already mentioned it several times in the comments, so once again, I can't get pregnant. I can't at all, which means she fortunately won't have grandchildren from me. I think she communicates so closely with Mary and her mother because she hopes to become a grandmother for Mary's potential children, to be honest. It's so creepy and ugly, in my opinion, but we're talking about my mother. I also consider it necessary to clarify that I did not know any of this. My mother has never said anything negative about me in my face, of course. There were some comparisons here and there, but nothing serious or something that would affect me. These have always been just common things that parents usually do. A comparison of grades, behavior, skills, etc. She also never directly accused me of not having more children, and never said anything bad about not being able to conceive a child. She apparently said all this behind my back. She always treated me normally. She was definitely not the best mother in the world, but she was not terrible, just a person who, in my opinion, should not have a child in the first place. My father also admitted that he thought about divorcing her several times, but he never decided to do it because he was afraid that my mother would get the main guardianship. Now he's considering this possibility again, so let's see what comes out of it. As for why he never confronted my mother, he really had no reason to do that. He knew that my mother had never said anything like that to my face, so he didn't think it necessary to tell me about it, at least until I moved out. He didn't get into such conversations with my mother, and every time he asked her to stop, which is why they often quarreled. I knew that their marriage fell apart, but I always thought that there were other reasons for it. In addition, my mother turned to my future mother-in-law and complained about Dave, how he cheated on me and all that, meaning that I broke off my friendship with Mary and preferred the groom to my best friend. My future mother-in-law, who, by the way, is an absolute angel, just asked her why she was discussing this with her, because Dave and I are already adults. There is no need to contact her about this. My mom also told her that Mary said that Dave was cheating on me. Then she just told my mother, "It looks like Mary is projecting," and hung up. To be honest, I was so angry that my mother tried to involve her in this situation, and I can't help but wonder if she was trying to create a conflict between Dave and his mother. Maybe she sincerely believes Mary and wanted to warn my future mother-in-law, but I think it would be not serious. For reference, Dave's mother was a single mother because her ex-boyfriend Dave's father cheated on her soon after giving birth. As you can imagine, she can't stand cheaters, and my mother knew about it anyway. So yes, it looks like my mom talked to Mary, who redoubled her efforts, and my mom decided to believe her. I expected it to happen, but to be honest, I'm very disappointed. I'm not even sad, angry, or anything like that. I'm just absolutely disappointed and confused. Now I'm thinking about sending her the last message before blocking her for a while, but I don't know if I should give her the opportunity to get explanations. I still doubt whether to break up with her at all, mainly for the sake of my father. Their marriage is already unstable, and although he's thinking about getting divorced from her, I'm not sure he'll really go for it. Keeping in touch with one of the parents and not talking to the other at the same time will be a great stress for the parent with whom you keep in touch, and I, frankly, do not want to worsen my father's home life even more. It's just crazy that I lost so many people I thought were important to me in such a short period of time. This whole situation also made me doubt other people, for example, my father. There have been so many people in my life all these years, and no one said anything. Why didn't my grandparents intervene? Or my aunt? Or family friends? I can't imagine that they didn't know about all this, but again, I didn't know either. I also have no idea why I never noticed that my mother held some grudge against me. Shouldn't I have noticed? I mean, I've been living with her under the same roof for 18 years, but I've never noticed, imagine, that she doesn't really like me. It will be a small update since not so much has happened, but I still want to share because I think it's quite ironic. Besides, it's quite late at night, and I live in a hotel, so I'm sorry if everything is a bit confusing. Today I had a concert, and Mary's ex-boyfriend Julian showed up after the performance. Yes, an ex-boyfriend. He came up to me and said he broke up with her this morning. After that, he got a free drink for the rest of the night, and we had a great time at the after party. LOL. I have already mentioned this in the comments, that I told mutual friends who asked, not those who attacked me, what really happened between me and Mary. I think they told other mutual friends, and the information reached Julian. He asked her if my story was true, and Mary apparently began to defend herself after a short quarrel. She called him an option, a backup airfield. Until Dave becomes a bachelor or until she finds someone better. He threw her right there and then. Mary must have been mad after that because she texted me from a new Insta ***** account banned in the Russian Federation and said that I ruined her life. I don't believe in karma, but it honestly made my day. Besides, I called my grandparents, and they didn't know how my mother really treated me, which, to be honest, calmed me down a little. At least I wasn't the only one in the dark. I think she was really good at hiding her true feelings. As for my parents, I decided to limit communication with my mother as much as possible and keep in touch with my dad. He is not going to divorce her in the near future for several reasons. I'm also still hesitating whether to completely end the relationship with my mother or not. Although many people mentioned in the comments that they no longer communicate with their families, I do not yet feel ready for this. I want to talk to her first to hear the truth, what my father told me straight from her, but now I don't want to do it. So yes, I keep her close for now. Mary didn't try to contact me anymore, but she started sending Dave videos where she has fun with herself. At the moment, there are already 3 of them, and all of them were sent through different accounts. He didn't respond to any of them, and we don't know what to do about it. He is quite often sent such videos, but usually it's just one video from one person, not 3 in a row, sent by the same person, which makes it easier to ignore, block them. At the moment, he deleted all the videos she sent him and blocked all her accounts through which she tried to contact him. He hopes that if he doesn't answer, she'll be back soon, and I hope so too. To be honest, I'm tired of hearing my former best friend moan my fiance's name. I also met my mom today. She texted me yesterday and asked me to meet. She knows that Julian and Mary broke up and also knows the reason for this. I don't know how she learned this story. Apparently, it was a strange coincidence of Julian, Mary, and Mary's mother. My mom was very upset when she told me about it, but it didn't make much sense. Mary told her this, Julian told her that, and so on. As a result, she believed Julian for some reason, not Mary. Maybe because the last time I met my mom, I told her that Mary was interested in Dave, and it clearly coincides with Julian's story. I have no idea. I also don't know why Julian told her. I asked him to talk to my mom after some people suggested it in the comments, but he looked pretty stiff. I think he told her anyway in the end. In general, she apologized very much for not believing me and sided with Mary. She also asked me if Mary had tried to do something with Dave, and I told her about the video. She is very angry with Mary and has blocked her number so far, and also wants to limit contacts with her mother as far as I know, but she doesn't know how to do it yet. They have a lot of common hobbies. They belong to the same clubs, book, sports, and so on. In general, typical mom stuff of the late 50s. So yes, I think everything is fine. I will still keep my distance from her, but she seems to sincerely want to fix everything. Now we are on the right track. It's still not very good, but we're going to it. It can also be the last update unless something important happens, but if everything remains as it is now, there will be nothing to update. I just wanted to pay attention to some of the things people said in the comments. Dave is quite often sent such videos. He is an artist performer. Most of his concerts take place in bars, at festivals, and people often get drunk quickly, which leads to fans doing strange things, crossing boundaries. I have no right to decide whether to file a police report with him. I can advise him, but he has to do it himself. We are not going to show these videos to anyone. Mary's mom and mine may know about them, but there's no point in sending them to them. It's personal, and they shouldn't see it. I decided to write this update because the recent events brought to the surface many complex emotions and weaknesses in my environment. Every day I face the consequences of my decision to stop communicating with Mary and how it affected my relationship with family and friends. The other day I had another conversation with my mother. I'm still excited about how wisely she approached the situation with our mutual friend Julian. My mother sincerely apologized for her previous behavior and made it clear that she would no longer contact Mary's mother. To be honest, I was glad to hear that it is important to me that she is next to me, not with her. However, no matter how much I want to go back to what was before, I understand that some things have changed forever. My view of my relationship with her has become more critical. All these years, I just didn't notice her manipulations and the supposed idealization of friendship with Mary. I feel like I'm distancing myself from my mother every time I think about it. I feel sad. I turned to my fiancé, Dave, for support. He was always there for him and ready to support me, but I also understand that he himself is stressed by this whole situation. As for our mutual friends, their reaction continues to cause me great doubts. They still express maintaining a relationship with Mary, not understanding the depth of our problem. I heard complaints from some of them that I acted too abruptly and destroyed our friendship. These words make me think again about whether I did the right thing. I feel guilty, but inside I am growing confidence that I did the right thing, putting myself in the first place. The people I considered close began to leave. As my relationship with them deteriorates, it seems that my determination is even stronger than ever. I try to focus on my true friends, on new acquaintances who support me, and on my hobbies. All this creates an internal conflict. On the one hand, I want to be grateful to the people who love me and support me. But on the other hand, I'm still worried about losing Mary and part of our friendship. Sometimes it seems to me that I am immersed in a sea of contradictions. I have a choice between preserving the past and moving forward. No matter how strong I try to stay strong, sometimes I feel covered with a feeling of emptiness from the fact that there are only memories of childhood left, filled with the best moments. I often look at old photos of me and Mary, and although it hurts, I try to realize that this part of my life is over. I will continue to do what I like, for example, drawing and cooking, those little things that fill me with joy. Dave and I are planning to go on a little trip to get away from all this. Perhaps new impressions will help me regain the confidence I lack now. I understand that time is the best healer. But I want to be careful with the one I let to approach me. Stopping communication with toxic people can eventually lead to happiness, even if it requires victims. I know that there is a long way to go, full of difficult decisions and self-knowledge. But this is exactly what I need to recover. I hope that in the future I will be able to look at this situation with understanding and clarity.